有足夠嘅。
Morning, members. We have a technical quorum. We have two items on the agenda for today. The first one is academic building at number 3 Sassoon Road, University of Hong Kong. The second item is a 30 classroom primary school at Tonkin Street, Cheung Sha Wan. I'll allot about 30 minutes for each item. Shall we invite the administration in, please?
Very
warm welcome to the education panel meeting. We have with us Mr. Kevin Young, Undersecretary for Education, Ms. Sharon Koh, PAS, Ms. Winnie Wong, UGC Deputy Secretary General. From the Hong Kong U, we have Dr. Stephen Cannon, Executive Vice President, Professor Chen Yingxing, Associate Dean, Mr. K.L. Tam, Director of Estates, Mr. Bernard Lim, ADRG Principal. Undersecretary, you're going to take us through the paper, and then Hong Kong U will give us a presentation. Members understand that the presentation will take about 10 minutes, that they hope that this can be shortened to 5 minutes because members may have a lot of questions for the team, and we're going to have 30 minutes for this item only today. So over to you, Undersecretary, please. Chairman, at number 3 is the Sassoon Road. Hong Kong, you would like to build an academic building for its Li Ka-shing Faculty Medicine, for the School of Public Health, School of Chinese Medicine, and School of Nursing. This will be a story with a basement. The total floor area will be 10,400 square meters. And the old buildings, like the pathology building, will be replaced. And Hong Kong, you will hand over the pathology building to the government, and for the Phase 1 project to go ahead. It is estimated that the MOD price is going to cost us something like $840.1 million. That's in money of the day prices. We hope that members will support this project for us to take this to the Finance Committee for the necessary funding. And we will be submitting the details to the PWSC and the FC for endorsement. Should this go through, Hong Kong U hopes that in the third quarter of 2017, work will get underway for completion in the first quarter of 2021. I defer to Hong Kong U for a presentation of the project, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, please note that according to Section 33A of our Rules of Procedure, if any member should have any interest in relation to the items under discussion today, whether direct or indirect pecuniary interest, they should declare the interest accordingly. And now, I would like to invite the representatives from Hong Kong U to walk us through the paper. Who would like to do that? Dr. Cannon.
Very much indeed.
Thank you for the opportunity to say a few words of introduction. You have the project brief, so I will be very brief in those introductory words. Hong Kong U is one of the world's leading universities. The Li Kaohsiung Faculty of Medicine is one of the leading medical schools in the world. This project will allow us to take the university and the medical school to new heights. It will allow us to consolidate the accommodation in Sassoon Road. It will allow us to accommodate the expansion that we've seen over recent years, and it will future-proof the university against future growth and expansion. We have a stated ambition to be Asia's global university. This will assist us in that ambition. I think without further ado, and in the interests of time, I'd like to hand over to Mr. Lim from our architecture.
Thank you very much. The red area is the location of the proposed project. This is Pufflam Road. Queen Mary Hospital is to the northeast. This is Sassoon Road. The location of the site is here, as indicated, and there is a bridge linking up with the Queen Mary Hospital. In this project, we will be providing a better connectivity at this site. For the ancillary facilities, other than the QMH, you also have other existing research buildings and structures of the Hong Kong U. In this project, we propose to provide not only teaching and research facilities, we would also, to the northeast, link up with QMH with a pedestrian footbridge. And it will serve also as an entrance at the higher level. At the ground level and Sassoon Road, there will also be other entrances. On the roof of the academic building, there will be a roof garden to enhance greening. On the 4th floor, there will be a podium garden, and we will also be providing greening in different parts of the building in order to provide for a better environment. Here you will find the different labs, research labs, and other ancillary facilities such as offices, as well as ancillary student facilities. So from Pufflam Road, we will, so according to the deed, there is a height restriction imposed by the Lands Department, so we'll have to design the building accordingly. And we would also like to minimize the need for site formation. There will be a total of 8 floors plus a basement, which will serve as a car park. And we will also be able to provide for better research and teaching facilities for the university. Through this pedestrian footbridge, both staff and students will be able to use the lower floors, and it can help improve the development along Sassoon Road. Other than providing teaching facilities, we would provide facilities for the long-term spatial development. As I said, there will be several entrances, pedestrian entrances. We hope to ensure smooth pedestrian traffic, and through the lower levels we can link up with other areas along Sassoon Road. And this is the pedestrian footbridge linking up QMH with the 2nd floor of the academic building. And from here, there will be escalators and stairs leading to the other parts of Sassoon Road. On the lower floors, there will be public spaces for students and facilities for students. The higher floors will be used as labs, teaching facilities, and research facilities. And from Pufflam Road, this is looking at the academic building from Pufflam Road. The pedestrian footbridge Here, there will be an entrance leading to the second floor of the academic building. Towards the northwest, we have added some greening. So that if you look at the building from Poplar Road, you'll find that there will be a podium here and a roof garden on top. And there will be also vertical greening on the facade of the building in order to so there would be climbers to enhance the greening. And this is looking at the academic building from Poplar Road, and you can go to the lower floors through that pedestrian footbridge. Here we propose to provide a lot of greening, and there will also be vertical greening here to blend in with the natural environment. The project estimate is about $840 million, and we hope that the project will be completed by 2021. Thank you very much. Thank you. Let me first ask how many members would like to speak. We'll start with Ms. Lau Xiu Lai. How many minutes do I have, Madam Chair? Shall we say 3 minutes? We'll see whether there will be a second round. Now, first of all, if the School of Medicine proposes this expansion, I would be in support of it. I just want to ask why it's costing $840 million. In your presentation, you talk about greening and vertical greening. I wonder whether or not that is really necessary. It will create merely a visual impact rather than serving any practical purpose. So I understand there's a need to actually develop the School of Medicine, but I'd like to know why do we need the greening and how much would it cost? Hong Kong University. I'm Tonkin Leung. Madam Chair, when we prepare the design, before we prepare the design, we talk to the district councillors in the area, and they encourage us to provide for more greening. Regarding the construction cost for similar, projects or buildings, the construction cost is on the lower side, is about $20,000 per square meter. And other comparable buildings would normally cost more. Not only do we need to have more greening, we want to achieve a high standard in terms of environmental protection. Since public funds are involved, we would like to rely on, extra resources such as, funds from donation to do a better job. I don't think you've answered my question. I'm not challenging the need for expansion of the School of Medicine. I just want to ask, that is, the amount that you spend on the roof garden and the vertical greening, how much are you going to spend on that? Mr. Tam? Well, according to our consultant, we will spend about $2 million on vertical greening. Thank you. Mr. Siu Kachin? Thank you. Regarding the expansion of the academic building at Sassoon Road, I'm all in support of that. As you've said, while you are expanding the academic building, there will also be, a greening exercise. But other than greening, will you also be providing for gender-friendly toilets? In Taiwan, they've already prescribed that for every building there should be a gender-friendly toilet. At Hong Kong U, we all know that recently they've conducted an experiment, and they've experimented with setting up a gender-friendly toilet. Will you be doing that at the new academic building? Will the university consider that? Yes, in our design, we have already provided for that facility. To simply put, in the design of many of the academic institutions, we are the first institution to provide one gender-friendly toilet on each and every floor. There will be more than one compartment. I think there should be at least 2 to 3 compartments. other than the typical male and female toilets and toilets for the disabled, we will also be providing on each floor 3 to 4 gender-friendly toilets. Mr. Yip Kin Yuen. Thank you. Regarding the proposed development of the academic building, I'm more in support of that. But when I look up the information, I found that when you have such capital works projects for tertiary institutions, sometimes the institution itself may commit some resources into such projects. In 2009, the PolyU constructed the innovative building, and for that project, the government subvented $600 million. PolyU was able to raise $79 million for that project. In 2011, the University of Science and Technology, when they built the research and teaching building, the government subvention was about $300 million. The Hong Kong Science and Technology STU also raised about $120 million. But this time the Hong Kong U is proposing to build a new academic building, and we note that it's going to cost $804 million, and it comes entirely from government subventions, which is different from the practice in the past. Could you explain why that is so, and under what circumstances would the tertiary institution have to contribute part of the cost for the project, and when will the government be paying the entire bill? All along, for capital works projects, the university has been committing resources. Of course, government has worked very hard to raise funds, but we've been working hard on that all along. For this project, our commitment is relatively small, but we still need to commit resources into environmental, facilities and so on. Anything that is good for the community would cost money. We expect so far, after we've completed the design, I think the university will be spending several tens of millions of dollars on this project. It's not that we are being stingy, but we still have many other projects. As you find from the paper, there is a serious shortfall of many of the teaching facilities. For some of those, we are now considering whether we should pay for the construction of those facilities 100%. There is also a keen demand for student hostels. And the university will need to commit a lot of resources, 30 to 40% of the capital costs of building such hostels. So we're under a lot of pressure to raise more funds. For this particular project, we hope members will give us more leeway so that we don't need to commit so much resources into this one, because we still need a lot of funds to pay for our forthcoming projects. Regarding how the cost is to be apportioned, who makes that decision? Is it the result of mutual, discussion, or would it be a decision of the university? For each project is unique. When we negotiate with the university in respect of each of the projects, we will look at the content of the project and what it entails. I'm not able to answer the Deputy Chairman's question as to those two previous projects. But when we talk to universities, the principle is that when we discuss this at the UGC, if we decide that this is something that should be built with public funds, and if there should be some facilities within the buildings which the government should pay for, we would do that. If there are certain things which the universities want to do in order to further enhance its facilities, and if we believe that it's not desirable to use taxpayers' money to pay for that, the university may contribute part of the cost. For this particular project, we've earmarked $8 million for this project. Subsequently, because of the operational needs, if they want further enhancements, they may contribute some of their own funds and inject into this project. So it's difficult for me to give you a fixed percentage as to how many percent will be paid for by the government and how much the university will contribute.
If I may add, Madam Chair, I know my time is up for 3 minutes. Just one word, please. The Undersecretary hasn't got the information with him. Now we will have these items at the PWSC and the FC. Perhaps you might wish to explain further to us in greater depth. Sure. All right, 2 more members would like to put questions. Mr. Wilson O and Ms. Claudia Mo. Any further members? If not, I draw a line there. Okay, Dr. Lau Siulai for the second time. Okay then, I draw a line under Dr. Lau, and there may be members who may want to put questions on the spur of the moment, and I think I have to draw a line there. Mr. Wilson Orr, Ms. Claudia Mo, and then Dr. Lau Siulai, and that's it for this item. Mr. Wilson Orr, Madam Chair, to resolve the space problem, I think the DAB welcomes this decision to build an academic building, but there is one issue of concern to the people of Hong Kong, and that is the pricing, the $800 million. The Undersecretary said that they hope that this will be completed in 2021. And this will cost us $800 or so million. If I may put this to the Secretary, if we cannot get this completed on time, and for some reason we go beyond this time frame, how much more funding do we need? And who's going to pick up the excess funding? And have you conducted any assessment on this? My second question is this. Now, the university told us that they've consulted the South District Council. My question is, regarding this academic building, what concerns do they have other than expressing support? Do they have any particular concerns about the project, in particular the impact on the neighboring environment? Undersecretary, Madam Chair. From our discussion with the university and their consultant, we are confident. Of course, it depends how soon we're going to get the funding. If we can get endorsement of the Finance Committee, we are confident that this can be completed in the first quarter of 2021. Now, if there are unforeseen circumstances that cause a delay, then it would depend on the reasons of the delay and how long it's going to be delayed for. There may be there are unforeseen circumstances. We have to bear in mind the rise in cost, and also the cost itself would rise. Like there may be difficult geological problems, the foundation problems, and so on. We need to increase the cost in any case, but we haven't seen any problems of this nature at this stage. We can only make the projection in accordance with the best information we have. Should, in an unlikely event, that we have to increase the budget, we certainly will come back to the Finance Committee and explain the whole thing to members and seek further funding. And there will be full justification for the additional cost if there is such a need for that. We will keep a close eye on this one. University can supplement in a moment. South District Council, the university can also supplement because it is their consultation. Right? Can you make it brief, please? We've gone over the time. Yes. In terms of cost control and the time frame, we are very confident. We've been carrying out projects for so long. We haven't seen projects that have overrun the budget and gone over the time. At the South District Council, they are concerned about the Poffalam Road. I mean, they can see the academic building from Poffalam Road and Sassoon Road. They like to have landscaping to make sure that the building will blend in with the environment. The other thing of concern to them is traffic. The first thing is the connection with the QMH. These building would have interaction with the QMH. Some patients would come down to the building. Now there is a footbridge connecting the two, so that addresses the problem. Now they also concerned about students crossing the road because of the increase in traffic. We told them that basically the users would be the same. We're not going to increase the traffic. There will be 2 footbridges linking the buildings, and also the vehicular ingress and egress will be improved. So if anything, that would help with the traffic situation. So South District Council raised no objection, no cause overrun. That will not be a problem. That's a non-issue, right? We just take your word for it. Until such time as you come back. If you do come back, you're going to have a painful process, I can assure you. All right, Ms. Claudia Mo. Right, Madam Chair. In the campus, the increase in facilities, I don't think in principle there would be any objection. $800 million, is it expensive? Now, the projects that we deal with these days are far more than that, billions and billions of dollars, and they sail through. Now, I'd like to follow up on the Vice Chairman, Mr. Ip Kin Yun's question. Now, this is funded by the government. I don't think the taxpayers would have a very strong view about it. Now, my question is, what criteria do you adopt? It was very frank. I mean, it was said that there is a bit of a sweetener, and the university faces pressure in terms of fundraising. Don't you have a fund? How much do you have in the fund? Do you have any criteria regarding funding the projects? How do you decide on the projects to be funded? Now, Mr. Wilson was very polite. Basically, he was saying, what if there is a cost overrun? You have to come back to the Finance Committee. Now, you have the estimate, and if there are problems, you will come back to the Finance Committee. I'm sure that there must be some projection. And you must make sure that the $800 million will not balloon to $1 billion or $1.2 billion. Undersecretary, right? Cost overrun. In fact, we are confident that we will be able to keep within this budget. If you ask me, well, confidence, you can't. I mean, it's not. It cannot be translated into a dollar sign. Well, I don't think I can make up any number. I mean, to be safe, I can tell you 1 billion or 1.2 billion, but that would be irresponsible of me to do so. We are doing so according to the information we have, according to the design of the university and the material costs and so on. We believe that $840 million would be doable. Of course, if there are things that are beyond our control, that would be another story altogether. But today, I cannot see any particular reasons or factors that makes it impossible for us to build this with $840 million. As regards the how much the government should fund the project and how much the university should fund the project, as I said in answer to the Vice Chairman's question, it would depend on the project. How did you decide on this project, though? Well, basically, the facilities that they are proposing should be provided for by the government, and these are not things that they want to try out or they want to make it look more beautiful. I mean, they're not doing things of this nature. We believe that these are the facilities that should be provided in the academic building. Therefore, the government is funding them. Mr. Tam talked about sweetener. I think it is only his expression. He's merely telling members that for the universities, they do need the support of the community because they do face a great deal of pressure in fundraising. Now, for this project, the government feels that the facilities in the academic building and the space that they need are things that the UGC and the administration agree with. That's why the government is picking up the tabs. Ms. Claudia Mo, do you want a reply to the university reserves and also how they make the decision, the criteria, and so on? Well, when you come to the Finance Committee, all these questions will crop up, so be prepared, be warned. Last speaker, Dr. Lau Siu-lai. Thank you, Madam Chair. Undersecretary's reply makes me a little bit surprised. I reiterate my support for this project, but he said that there are other facilities and other universities that may want the buildings look more beautiful, and they want to add certain things. The government will not be funding them, and they have to raise funds for them. In my university, I have not seen any intention of making the university campus more luxurious. I mean, do you have any examples that you can quote us? The second thing we are concerned about is the budget and overrun and so on. Now, who is the contractor? Has it got a good track record? We'd like to find out who the contractor is. Third, about the gender-friendly facilities. On this question, I've conducted some studies that for gender-friendliness, there must be independent, standalone toilet cubicles. Now, this is not the case from the university's reply. Now, for these sexual minority, there are so many different groups. Do you have one single standalone toilet, or do you have any subsection within the toilet for different sexual minorities, the transgender and all the different types in the sexual minorities? Right, let me take the first question very briefly. I was merely citing an example. I'm not saying I cannot think of a better reply within such a short period of time. The universities might say that they may want an additional floor since they're building the academic building, for example. Now, for the we're going to conduct some research, and I hope that we will be able to explain further to members why the universities bear certain costs and so on. That would make members understand much better. But you can have the reply made available in writing. For the other two questions, I defer to the university. Mr. Tam, I hand you over to the architect. Dr. Lau's question, I think we have addressed. Mr. Lim. Yes, the gender-friendly toilet, we have them on every floor. There are 41 of them in the building. Each one would have a partition all the way up to the ceiling, and also they have the water basin and also the mirror. So it would be like a large section called gender-friendly toilet. Inside you have standalone cubicles for the sexual minorities. Yes, about cost control. Now, in recent years, members might hear a lot about cost overruns that may have to do with the foundation, that may carry some risks. But for the academic building, for the floor space that we built, the unforeseen circumstances would be less likely to happen. We have conducted all the site survey, and our team, under the supervision of the relevant departments, have conducted a lot of surveys. So in the paper for members, we have effectively conducted all the technical considerations. All the risk assessment has been conducted. So unless there are any special circumstances, we don't see any particular problems that will cause cost overruns and delays.
Ms. Lau would also like to know whether or not you have selected the contractor yet. Well, we've received the bids already, but we haven't yet awarded the contract. According to our rules, we cannot disclose any such details. But we are we said that we're very confident because in the light of past experience, we believe that we will be able to finish the project within budget. And the bid which come in is actually very conducive to our, controlling the cost. I think with that, we may now wrap up our discussion on this item. I understand that many members have expressed their support for this project. May I ask whether there are any members who object to this project? If not, I believe this will be forwarded to the PWSC very soon. Thank you very much for coming to our meeting.
下一個議程。
Our next item is a 30-classroom primary school at Tonkin Street, Cheung Sha Wan. We invite the representatives to join us. Again, Under Secretary. And we also welcome Ms. Alina Chen, PAS. Under Secretary, we are proposing to construct a 30-classroom primary school at Tonkin Street for reprovisioning the Pak Tin Catholic Primary School. The Pak Tin Catholic Primary School was built in 1973. It operates 21 classrooms at the moment. And we have so we need to reprovision the school. Given the constraint of 250 square meters, reprovisioning the school to the new campus at Tonkin Street is conducive to, is the most cost-effective way to improving the facilities and the teaching environment. Regarding the proposed design for the new building, you can refer to paragraph 6. Public consultation. We've consulted the Sum Shui Po District Council and members are in support of this project. If members support this proposal, then we will intend to submit this proposal to the PWSC and the FC in May and June respectively for funding approval. If the FC approves the funding, we hope to commence work in the fourth quarter of 2017 so that the project will be completed in the third quarter of 2020. Thank you. Mr. Pin Yun, Vice Chairman has indicated he would like to speak. If other members would like to speak in respect of this item, please put up your hands. Mr. Yip. Madam Chair, regarding the proposal for the provisioning of this school, we support the proposal in principle, but there are a few questions I'd like to raise. First of all, and it's not just a question for the Bureau, it may also involve the Housing Department and the Planning Department. The reprovisioning of the Pak Tin Catholic Primary School. Well, the whole Pak Tin estate is to be redeveloped soon, and the Pak Tin Catholic Primary School has been operating in that estate for a long time, and the school building is already very old. If there is to be redevelopment, shouldn't the entire estate together with this primary school be redeveloped at the same time? But that is not the arrangement. In the course of redevelopment, the whole estate will be redeveloped, but the primary school will be the building is already very old, but the government will not be redeveloping the school, and instead it will be reprovisioned to a different, campus. The original school building will continue to be used in future. So for the Pak Tin Catholic Primary School, it is now a school built according to older standard. It will be now repositioned to a new building with better facilities. But what you give back to the Pak Tin estate residents will still be the substandard primary school building. So is that the arrangement? And if that's the case, why at the beginning you did not, plan to redevelop the whole of the parking estate together with the primary school there so that the standard could be improved. Madam Chair, regarding the redevelopment of Pak Tin Estate, I apologize. I'm afraid I cannot answer the question on behalf of the Housing Department and what its considerations are. From the educational angle, in the course of redevelopment, they have reserved site to build a new primary school there. So for Pak Tin Estate, after its redevelopment, within that estate, well, depending on the demand for school places and the situation at the time, we have indeed reserved a site to build a primary school there. For the Pak Tin Catholic Primary School, which we now propose to relocate to Cheung Sha Wan, it will still be located within the same school net. Of course, we cannot guarantee that there will be a school in each and every estate, but we would look at instead the overall supply and demand for the entire school net. Vice Chairman, any follow-up questions you'd like to raise, or would you like to? Yeah, if no one else would like to ask, perhaps you can ask Ms. Claudia Moe to ask a question first. Yes, Madam Chair, we understand, of course, that there are many vacant school premises. We should use those premises to build housing units instead. But we are talking about education today. We cannot ask the Undersecretary to answer questions relating to housing. You've already told us that the vacated Pak Tin Catholic Primary School, you intend to use the site to build a new primary school there, which will be, or the building could be used for other educational purposes. So if you reserve the site for that purpose, people dare not, touch the site. Indeed, there is a demand for such school places in the area. As population increases, we may need a new school. If that's the case, why don't you find a larger site? A 30 classroom for a primary school is just about right. It's four classes per form, and it's 24 plus other rooms. So do you think this is what you're planning now is really the best you can do? And can you guarantee that the vacated school premises will be used to build a new primary school? When I answered the Vice Chairman's question, the new school I referred to was not the site vacated by the Pak Tin Catholic Primary School, but rather in the redevelopment project for the estate. We've already reserved a site to build a new primary school. When the Pak Tin Catholic Primary School is relocated to Tonkin Street, the existing school premises, we'll look at existing school premises to see whether or not it could be used for further educational purpose. And if not, we will hand it back to the central, government, to the government. So we will not be redeveloping the, school right there in situ, because it's a very small site, only 650 square meters. So in the redevelopment plan, even if you're not rebuilding on the vacated site of the Pak Tin Catholic Primary School, but in your redevelopment proposal, you have already reserved a site to build a new primary school, and you're offsetting one site for another. According to the information I have, in the redevelopment plan for Pak Tin Estate, the Pak Tin Catholic Primary School will not be part of the redevelopment project. But within the perimeter of that redevelopment project, there will be a site reserved for the building of a primary school. So there will be a site reserved for the building of a primary school in the site after redevelopment. After the relocation of the Pak Tin Catholic Primary School, you cannot tell us how the vacated site will be used, whether or not it will be for housing development or for other educational purposes. well, there will be 3 years yet before the school will be reprovisioned. So between now and then, we will consider whether we will continue to use the site for educational purpose, and if not, we will, if it will be vacated, we will return it to the government for other uses. Next, I'd like to know whether are there any other members who would like to ask questions. If that, then I'll be the last. I'll invite Mr. Yip to ask his second question. Well, you told us that a new school building will be built after the redevelopment of Pak Tin Estate. According to the information provided by the Education Bureau in 2010, there should be two primary schools after Pak Tin Estate is redeveloped. So the new the new reprovision Pak Tin primary school, after it is relocated, the old school premises will be used by another school, which will move into the new site. So there will be a very old primary school together with a newly built primary school to serve the residents living in Pak Tin. I think this is a very strange arrangement. Why, in the course of redeveloping Pak Tin Estate, you don't redevelop the primary school there as well? In 2013, the principal of the Pak Tin Catholic Primary School demanded that the school should be incorporated into the redevelopment plan, but the government did not agree. And that's why you have this embarrassing situation. The old school building, what is going to happen to the old school building in Pak Tin Estate? It will be located in the redeveloped estate. If it were to continue to be used as a school building, it would be a very old building. Will you then also have to redevelop that building then? So what exactly is the arrangement? Well, Pak Tin is not an isolated case. In the course of redevelopment, there are other estates where the whole estate is pulled down and then redeveloped, while at the same time, the old and dilapidated primary school located there will not be redeveloped. Instead, in a brand new housing estate, the residents have to, continue to use this very old school building. So so is that really your policy in respect of development? Is there a better way? Because we all think that this is not a very, very, smart way to do it. Now, first of all, the Vice Chairman referred to what we said in 2010. But now in Tonkin Street, we're now building a 30-classroom brand new primary school. As to how many schools Pak Tin Estate will need at that time, we will conduct another study then. And also, how will the redevelopment of Pak Tin be done? How many stages will it be done, and what the population projection will be? We're still studying that. We understand the Vice Chairman's question. Whenever there is any redevelopment project, we will, wherever possible, we will consider redeveloping the primary school located in the old estate at the same time when the estate is being redeveloped. But whether or not that is feasible or not, we will need to look at the details of each of the redevelopment projects. But in principle, I agree with the Vice Chairman that since we have the opportunity for redevelopment, shouldn't we at least incorporate the school building into the redevelopment project as well? We certainly would consider that. Follow up, Madam Chair. Thank you, Undersecretary, for explaining that principle for redevelopment.
We'll consider whether this will become a policy. Now, regarding the population changes, this project will be taken to the PWSC and the FC. Are you projecting any population changes and therefore you don't need this particular school? Or if you still need this school, how what is the arrangement for this school going forward. Also, the new campus, there are some schools that have raised some comments. Of course, I support the idea of improving the premises for Pak Tin Catholic Primary School, but there are some schools in the vicinity that are also pretty dilapidated, and they haven't been brought under the school improvement program. The Education Bureau, in an interview with the cable TV, said that there are 13 schools that competing for the opportunity. Now, how do you allocate the resources? If you can answer the question now, all well and good, but if not, will you give us further information next time how you allocate the resources? Under Secretary? Right, if that's the case, the meeting is scheduled to end at noon. Perhaps we can extend the meeting by 10 minutes. Yes, please, Under Secretary. Madam Chair, every time when we have a new school premises, there will be an open tender. There will be a special committee considering the applications. We will look at the teaching quality, and that's the main consideration. And the way they run the school, their philosophy, their track record, and the state the existing school is in, whether it is in the same location, because that would certainly have implications on the allocation of places. So there will be a whole host of factors that would be taken into consideration. For these open tender, it is not appropriate for us to pass our judgment on individual schools about the merits and demerits. But members probably would agree that for Pak Tin Catholic Primary School, I'm sure that members would feel that the school is well justified. I don't really want to make any comparison regarding the 13 schools in competition, and that would not be a good thing for the schools at all. For those schools that have been left out, I think you should explain to them to make them understand the situation. Madam Chair, in the long run, how can you arrange for reprovisioning for these schools? I'm sure I'm going to put further questions at future meetings, so I hope that they will be well prepared for that. 2 minutes. Dr. Helena Wong. I'd like to follow up on the point made by the Undersecretary. You may not want to disclose why the school is given the reprovisioning. I'm sure that you must have some transparent and open criteria, and it's not a case of balloting. They're not trying their luck. There must be some objective criteria. Can't you enumerate the criteria, the kind of things that you'll be looking at in your assessment? Undersecretary, I think I have touched on this, the teaching philosophy, the teaching quality, the plan, how they run the school, they conduct the teaching, the track record, the performance, the track record of the sponsoring body, the state that the school is in at the present moment. How old is the school premises and what school network it is in, and whether there will be implications on the number of school places. So there will be a whole host of factors. I'm prepared to give a reply in writing. I'm sure we have made available the information before regarding the factors that we take into account. Every time there is an application, we'll have an independent committee looking into it. We're not talking about the specific cases. We'd like to know about the criteria. If the school premises is too old, would that stand a better chance? And would the number of school places in the school, the allocation network, make any difference? I think you have to give us a policy, Under Secretary. It's not as simple as that, Madam Chair. The school that has a long history doesn't mean that the premises is bad. So the age would be one of the factors. We also look at the environment of the school. So many a time it would be hard for us to say that the age would attract a certain point. Now for the school net, we will have to look at the implications on two networks, the network that the school is leaving, and also the network that the school is joining. So we don't have any specific formula to work out the points. That's why we do need a committee to look at all the details instead of a computer. Dr. Wong, can you give us a timetable regarding the schools that are on the waiting list? Under Secretary. I think Dr. Wong's question is similar to the Vice Chairman's. We haven't addressed the question, have you? For the schools that have lost out in this exercise, how soon will they be reprovisioned? The answer is as soon as we have the space available. We would encourage them to submit the tender. As to how much we can make available each year would depend on the availability of land and the funding. Under Secretary, you talked about the considerations regarding how you allocate the space. It would be hard to quantify. Now we want it to be fairer, and maybe you should have a point system that would look at things like the age of the building, and also the fact that a certain school will have to cater for a number of housing estates as the catchment area. You ought to have some sort of a point system as the basis, and you might wish to add certain other factors that would make the other school feel that they are on equal footing, instead of having the decisions taken arbitrarily. Dr. Lau Siu-lai, 1 minute, please. Thank you, Madam Chair. I heard the Undersecretary's reply to Dr. Helena Wong's question. He said that school performance would also be looked at, and that prompted me to put this question. What do you mean by school performance? How do you derive the information? Now, how do you evaluate the performance of the schools? Well, that's precisely the question we put. But there are so many factors. Undersecretary, please. Well, Madam Chair, the school performance at the Education Bureau, as the supervisor, would be aware of that. Simply put, we look at the teaching, the learning, the curriculum management, the relationship with the students, and whether the students enjoy a good interactive environment. We do have criteria for assessing the schools. Like the chair said, education is not something that can be quantified in every way. In our contact with the schools, we do have our views. It's got nothing to do with the TSA, and no, it's got nothing to do with the TSA. Right? I hope that there would be a further response in writing. Let me put this to members. Are you in support of the administration taking this paper to the PWSC? Any objection there? If not, This committee, this panel, supports the idea of the item being taken to PWSC. Anything else? If not, thank you very much.